Part 62. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 635. Second update arrived. Lin Wenbin loves Chu Xia the most, so he insists on letting Chu Xia follow him now, which makes Zhou Mixang a little surprised, so he turns around and looks at the other person with a steady look on his face. Speak more clearly. Let Wang Jun see his younger siblings so that things don't get too tense, Lin Wenbin said. Tell the truth, Zhou Mixang glared at him. Do you think I will believe you when you say this? Do you think I'm a fool? I'm not worried about Wang Jun's sister Wang Yu. Is that clear enough? Lin Wenbin looked at Zhou Mixang calmly. That's what I think. As a brother, you should think of everything for your sister. Zhou Mixang had a dark line on his face. Can you be more exaggerated? Wang Yu and I are not familiar with each other at all. I said, Uncle, will you be worried if someone has a sister in the future? I'm not that unreasonable. I don't trust her because she really likes you. Lin Wenbin looked at him seriously. If you don't believe me, you can call Wang Jun. Okay, I'm really impressed with you. Helpless, Zhou Mixang had no choice but to go back to his room and take Chu Xia with him. It wasn't that he was afraid of Lin Wenbin, but because he was worried that what the other party said was true. One more thing would be better than one less thing. Looking at his little wife who was sleeping soundly, he couldn't bear to wake her up. The leader simply packed a big blanket, picked her up and went out. Lin Wenbin stared at Zhou Mixang, who came downstairs with his mouth open. Well, he is really relieved now. For a man like his wife, he will basically not do anything to make him feel sorry for his wife. Or maybe he is really too sensitive. Already. When the car stopped at Wang's house, Chu Xia was still asleep. You're not going to hug her in like this again, are you? Lin Wenbin looked at Zhou Mixang, who was about to wrap a blanket again, with a black look. If you really hug her in like this, she will definitely hate you. If you don't believe me, try it. Do you think I'm stupid? Zhou Mixang glared at him. I just want to cover up Chu Xia. That's pretty much it. Lin Wenbin looked at him approvingly. Now I feel more and more comfortable leaving my sister to you. Zhou Mixang. This elder brother-in-law, it seems that when we got married, you were not the uncle-in-law, right? Lin Wenbin glared at Zhou Mixang, dissatisfied. Don't look like this. To me, Chu Xia is my biological sister. Let me tell you this, no matter what other people's final choice is, my choice will definitely be this time. Early summer. I believe. Zhou Mixang's expression also became serious. I can see how good you are to her, otherwise, I wouldn't let you come with me. Lin Wenbin was completely speechless. Okay, do you dare to let him be with him, or do you still think highly of him? Can you tell me why you are so good to Chu Xia? Zhou Mixang leaned against the car and looked at him. Even my brother may not be able to be like you. I have said that I have been looking forward to having a sister since I was a child. Moreover, my sister and I had a very good relationship back then. However, this does not seem to be the whole reason. Relatives also pay attention to the depth of fate. Chu Xia and I, they should be the kind of relatives who have a close relationship, but Zhou Mixang, are you jealous of Chu Xia being close to me? After glaring at him, Zhou Mixang was too lazy to talk to him anymore. Wang Jun ran over panting, looking happy. Why are you here? Why don't you go in? Waiting for you to come out to greet me. Lin Wenbin smiled and joked with him. Isn't it true that I finally expected you to come? I should, Wang Jun said and looked at Zhou Mixang. You look like you are dissatisfied with me. What do you think? Zhou Mixang asked. Are you feeling uncomfortable after hearing about Huang Xinjun and I's dealings? Wang Jun smiled and called the two of them in. Come in and talk, don't be a guest here. It's the first month of the year, we look so rude. The old man is at home, Zhou Mixang asked. No, I went to the comrade's home. There are activities today. That's good. Zhou Mixang leaned back comfortably. We haven't woken up in Chuxia yet, so we agreed here. Wang Jun looked surprised. My younger siblings are here too. Nonsense, Zhou Mikang frowned. Let's get down to business. The two of them had not been in contact with each other for many years, and they finally opened up. Wang Jun certainly didn't want to get into a deadlock again, but he was in a hurry when he came out, wearing only a thin sweater, and he was a little unbearable at the moment. Of course Zhou Mikang and Lin Wenbin also discovered this problem, but they both adopted a policy of ignoring it. For them, Chuxia was the most important. Whoever did something detrimental to Chuxia would no longer be friends. Wang Jun is now blacklisted by both parties. Sume, bring me the thick coat. Wang Jun had no choice but to ask his wife for help, hung up the phone, winced again unconsciously, and smiled bitterly. It seems you are really angry, but look at you, I'm very happy, it means you finally found the right partner. Nonsense, Zhou Mikang said. Okay, it's my fault that I always talk nonsense, Wang Jun said as he looked into the distance, and finally saw his wife's figure, and he breathed a sigh of relief unconsciously. It is true that Huang Xinjun and I have frequent contacts, but this does not mean that I am close to the Huang family. Don't think about it. In the past, our old man and the Huang family were incompatible, which eventually led to the early death of our old man. If he withdraws, do you think I will become friends with him? After waiting for a long time, Zhou Mikang didn't say anything, but when Sume came to deliver the clothes, Wang Jun quickly took the clothes and put them on, muttering, I'm finally alive. For a moment, his cold cheeks turned purple. Happy New Year to Captain Zhou, Happy New Year to Major Lin. Sume politely greeted Zhou Mikang and Lin Wenbin. Happy New Year to Sume. They both replied to her almost in unison. Wang Jun snorted dissatisfiedly, I am older than you. It's okay, it's better to call her by name to show your closeness. Sume smiled and said goodbye wisely, you two chat, I'll go back first, the children will make trouble easily if they can't find me. See how sensible your wife is. Lin Wenbin glanced sideways at Wang Jun and said. When did you two become so good? Wang Jun looked at the two of them in confusion. As far as I know, your two personalities are absolutely opposite, but now it seems that you two are in harmony. Lin Wenbin, you and Zhou Mikang's relationship has almost caught up with the relationship between Zhou Hanliang and Zhou Mikang. Thank you for the compliment. I really like hearing that. By the way, let me tell you that we too have people we value in common, so of course we get along. Lin Wenbin glared at him, stop rambling here and there and get to the point. Okay, let's get to the point. Since my grandfather retired, our family has changed from a bustling family to a deserted one. At first, the family will inevitably be uncomfortable with it, but as time goes by, and this has been thought of for a long time, it doesn't matter. But Huang Xinjun is too vicious. He knew that we had not really fallen out with your family, so he dealt with us everywhere. My eldest brother accidentally fell into his trap. Then, Huang Xinjun took the initiative to find me. He said, if I want my eldest brother to be okay, I have to listen to him, stay with him in the future, and stay away from you. I had no choice. In order to save my eldest brother first, I had no choice but to agree to him. Of course he knew that I was unwilling, so he deliberately spread rumors that he and I had become best friends and told Zhou Mikang secrets. Originally, my family was in trouble, and with his promotion, the rumors became more and more popular. But at this time, I couldn't explain anything, so I could only let the situation develop. However, even if my grandfather retires, it doesn't mean that there is really nothing that can be done. Now that my eldest brother's matter has been basically settled, I will see that you will be fine. Otherwise, even if you come, I won't dare to come forward. Huang Xinjun's cruelty can really kill my eldest brother. Our family can't afford such a thing now. I already knew that you would come to me, and I also knew that you would be angry, but I believe you can understand that I only have one eldest brother, and if he is gone, our family will be broken up. Besides, it is a temporary solution. Also, during the time I was with Huang Xinjun, I didn't tell him anything about you. Of course he forced me, but I found some unimportant things to excuse him. What's wrong with your elder brother? Lin Wenbin asked. Wang Jun kept mumbling for a long time without saying anything. Anyway, I haven't heard anything at all, Lin Wenbin said again. Hey, Wang Jun sighed and looked at the two of them solemnly. I can tell you this, but it must be kept secret. You two must promise me. No problem, Lin Wenbin said. Say, Zhou Mikang's attitude is always so cool. It's a matter of style. Speak clearly. A friend invited my eldest brother out for dinner. He got too drunk and for some reason, he ended up lying naked on the bed with a girl. Then, a group of people went in and caught him. He didn't need to say the rest. Zhou Mikang and Lin Wenbin understood it. This kind of thing is indeed not a trivial matter. It is the time to crack down hard. If it weren't for the Wang family's background, he would have been imprisoned and waited to be shot. Moreover, this matter seems to be a man-made trap, otherwise, one link after another would not be so coincidental. The so-called best friends are the hardest to guard against. In my impression, Wang Ji is a very upright person who doesn't talk much. Although his future is not as promising as Mr. Wang's, it is still possible to reach the deputy provincial level when he retires. After what happened this time, his political future is also over. Huang Xinjun is cruel enough. The feud between the Zhou family and the Huang family was finally settled. Lin Wenbin looked at Zhou Mixang. I am now basically sure that Huang Sui and you working together were definitely premeditated by the Huang family. If I were you, I would definitely resign from the medical team and not give the other party any chance. Ours. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 636. Are you sure? Zhou Mikang raised an eyebrow at Lin Wenbin. Are you really sure that if it were you, you would resign from the medical team? Certainly. That means you don't understand Chu Xia's stubborn temper. Zhou Mikang sighed. I really wanted to resign from this position, so I asked Chu Xia not to join the pre-war medical team. As a result, she was very angry at my decision and thought I didn't respect her enough. I had no choice but to stay there. At the very least, I could ensure that she was within my sight. You actually agreed to let her join the pre-war medical team. Lin Wenbin glared at him. Didn't we agree to stop her no matter what? We said we would always protect her, but sometimes it is more important that she has the ability to protect herself than waiting for others to protect her. For example, when she first got married, something like this happened to the Zhou family. Although she was entrusted to Jing Zhe and knew that she had the protection of Wan Lao and Jing Lao, she still inevitably worried. If she has a real social circle of her own, she can completely protect herself and may even help us when we are too busy taking care of ourselves and have no time to ask others. Do you think she is happier if she is waiting for us to protect her and has no ability to protect herself at all, or is she happier if she can protect herself and protect us at the critical moment? Do you even need to ask? Lin Wenbin glared at him. Of course I know it's better for her to protect herself, but how much effort will it take to get to the point you said? Are you willing to do it? I'm willing to do it. You. Lin Wenbin stared at Zhou Mixang bitterly, without saying anything for a long time. Wang Jun quickly smoothed things over. You two feel the same, but Zhou Mixang is like a strict father, and Lin Wenbin is more like a loving mother. From my point of view, the key is what my younger siblings think. Her happiness is the most important thing, right? You can't stand and talk without hurting your back. Lin Wenbin glared at him. Think about it, when you were your age, did you always want to be recognized by others? She didn't have such a strong sense of safety at all. Just follow her wishes. It will be too late to regret it by then. Anyway, I firmly disagree, no matter what the reason, I don't agree. Brother. Chu Xia opened the door and got out of the car, looking at Lin Wenbin helplessly. Things are still far away. You are worried now, as if I will go to the battlefield tomorrow. Don't worry, I am not an ignorant child. If something happens to me, my father and my mother won't be able to survive, even for them. It's impossible for me not to take my own life seriously. What about me? Zhou Mikang frowned and looked at her with dissatisfaction on his face. Over there, Lin Wenbin also looked unhappy. Chu Xia stroked her forehead feebly. Can you please not be like this? I am telling the truth. If something happens to me, you will be very sad and may not even recover within a few years. But my parents are really dead. Hope. The two of them still stared at her without speaking. Okay, I was wrong. I was wrong, there was no other way, so Chu Xia had to admit her mistake. Then it's agreed that you are not allowed to join the pre-war medical team, Lin Wenbin said. Brother. Chu Xia really had no choice but to look at Zhou Mikang for help. Don't look at me, convince him yourself. It's so unfaithful. Unable to persuade Lin Wenbin for a while, Chu Xia changed the subject. Brother Wang, I'm sorry to have kept you out in the cold for so long. It's okay, Wang Jun waved his hands repeatedly. I'm just happy to see someone who cares about Zhou Mikang so much. It's worth freezing for as long as you want. Go and pay New Year's greetings to Grandpa Wang. Chu Xia looked at Zhou Mikang and Lin Wenbin inquiringly. It would be too impolite if we don't go there. Grandpa is not at home. Wang Jun looked at the time. I guess he will be back soon. Regardless of whether he comes back or not, we can't stay in this cold place. The elders are fine, but the cold is almost unbearable for the younger brothers and sisters. I'm fine, I wore a lot. Chu Xia looked at her bloated body and felt helpless. In fact, she is not afraid of the cold. In such weather, it is no problem to wear a thick sweater, woolen pants, or a thin cotton jacket and cotton pants. However, as soon as the 12th lunar month entered, the 12th lunar month, the elders took away her sweater, woolen pants, thin cotton jacket, and thin cotton pants. Afraid that she won't cherish herself. But the problem was, this thick cotton jacket and trousers weighed several kilograms in total, and she couldn't even stretch her arms and legs while wearing it. She felt like she was as good as a puppet. When she complained to Zhou Mikang, her regiment leader Zhangzi, who always followed her, refused to discuss the matter, saying that she could not be allowed to destroy her body just for the sake of beauty. Helpless, she had no choice but to follow everyone's wishes and go out dressed as a bear every day. Of course, this was probably her feeling, as she was used to the light cotton padded clothes of later generations. Others would not feel this way. They were dressed like this all over the street. You will naturally get used to it. Sure enough, Lin Wenbin glared at Zhou Mixang dissatisfied. I don't know how to bring Chu Xia a cotton coat. Look at her wearing that cotton coat. It's as thin as a layer of paper. Can it keep her warm? Not to mention Chu Xia's black hair, even Zhou Mikang and Wang Ji were speechless. Is the paper so thin? Apparently, someone failed to persuade his sister and was feeling angry. The expressions on these people made Lin Wenbin realize that his use of the topic was inappropriate, so he snorted and took the lead to walk to the main room of the Wang family. Mr. Wang hasn't come back yet, and Ms. Wang is sitting in the hall chatting with her two daughters-in-law. When they see a few people coming in, they all stop talking and their eyes are fixed on Chu Xia. Happy New Year to Grandma, Happy New Year to eldest aunt, and Happy New Year to second aunt. Happy New Year to Grandma, Happy New Year to eldest aunt, and Happy New Year to second aunt. Without waiting for Zhou Mikang's introduction, Chu Xia followed closely and said hello. The eyes of several people looking at her softened obviously. Xiaomi, please come and sit down, the eldest aunt of the Wang family said. Why are you sitting on your side? If you want to sit, sit on my side. The second aunt of the Wang family simply stood up and pulled Chu Xia. The old lady, haven't spoken yet. Mrs. Wang waved with a smile, come and sit next to Grandma. Grandma, eldest aunt, second aunt, how do you let Chu Xia choose? Zhou Mikang smiled and pulled Chu Xia to sit next to him. It's more fair this way. Ha ha ha. The old lady laughed heartily. Xiaomi, I have gained a lot of experience for you to protect me like this. Not bad, not bad. That's right, we, Xiaomi, are blessed. We have been waiting for such a beautiful wife for a long time. Look at his group of people, which one is as good as the wife he found? Sister-in-law, if you dare to say this in front of Sumei, I will completely convince you. Aunt Wang joked with a smile. The eldest aunt glared at her. Are you afraid that the world will not be in chaos? Mom, in fact, I just don't have any younger siblings. Sumei walked down the stairs with a smile, her eyes lingering on Chu Xia's face, then quickly moved to Zhou Mikang. Captain Zhou, I now understand why there's no rush anymore. What you're saying is exaggerating. He doesn't have front and rear eyesight. I can only say that he was lucky and just met him, Wang Jun said while looking at Lin Wenbin. Don't you think so? Unfortunately, this time he found the wrong accomplice. Lin Wenbin looked at him calmly. It's not just good luck. If he hadn't been so persistent, my family in Chuxia wouldn't have fallen in love with him. Chu Xia is Lin Wenbin's cousin, Wang Jun introduced to several elders who looked puzzled. Oh. Mrs. Wang nodded repeatedly. Yes, your grandfather said this. I didn't react at the moment. Okay, that's good. After polite greetings for a while, Wang Jun went to the study with Zhou Mi, Kang, Lin Wenbin, and Chu Xia was left in the hall to talk to the female relatives. Chu Xia, was it Zhou Mixang who took the initiative to chase you? Sumei asked curiously. That's right. Seeing that several people were looking at him and waiting for an answer, Chu Xia had a black line on his face. Gossip is indeed a woman's nature. At such an old age, she is still gossiping like this. Sorry, I'm just curious. Sumei explained with a smile. I heard Wang Jun say a lot about him before. In my impression, he is very unsmiling. In fact, every time I see him they are all a little nervous, so I really can't imagine what it would be like if he took the initiative to pursue a girl. Haha. Chu Xia smiled politely, secretly complaining in her heart. It's just because you think that if I hadn't taken the initiative, how could he marry a rural girl like me? Who is this? She's so pretty. A girl in her 20s or 30s came in from outside and rushed towards Chu Xia with an envious look on her face. Why are there such good-looking girls? Chuxia looked at him openly. Hello, my name is Lin Chuxia, I am Zhou Mixang's wife. Thank you for the compliment. Third sister-in-law, the girl unconsciously grabbed Chu Xia and looked her up and down. No wonder. Fortunately, I didn't have any thoughts that I shouldn't have. Otherwise, I would definitely get a bloody head. You are such an idiot. Do you think you can talk like that? Old Mrs. Wang glared at her. You just talked nonsense when we met. Thank you for being able to do it. Then she looked at Chu Xia. This silly girl is Wang Jun's sister. Wang Yu, always speaks so mindlessly, don't be as knowledgeable as her. You have a good personality, I like it very much. Seeing Wang Yu holding up a teacup to drink water, Chu Xia quickly grabbed her and said, I just came back from outside, and I feel a chill in my stomach. Let's take a breath first before drinking. I'm used to it. Wang Yu smiled sheepishly. Thank you, third sister-in-law. After saying that, he put the teacup back on the table, and the eldest aunt smiled. Chu Xia, I don't know how many times I have told her this problem. I just can't listen. Mom, don't think about what you said about me. Wang Yu glared and imitated the aunt's tone. Wang Yu, are you a girl? Can you pay more attention? You are like this, how can you get married? Then he looked at Chu Xia. My mother always says this, It's strange that I can listen to it ours. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 637. Yesterday, my editor-in-chief helped with the update. I finally came back today, but I'm too tired, so I'll just do one chapter. Let's start tomorrow. You've been chirping all day long. If I didn't talk to you, I don't know what I would be like. Looking at her daughter, the eldest aunt looked helpless. Grandma, my mother just likes to hit me. In her eyes, I have no place to live up to. Wang Yu sat next to Mrs. Wang and pouted aggrievedly. Is there a mother like her? If your mother only praises you, then there is something wrong with her brain. Old Mrs. Wang rubbed her granddaughter's head in a funny way. Although you call me sister-in-law Shuxia, she is much younger than you. Looking at others, and then looking at yourself, do you still think your mother is wronging you? Second aunt. Wang Yu looked at second aunt Wang pitifully. You are the best to me. Can you be fair? Second aunt Wang looked at her with a troubled face. What do you want second aunt to say? This is too obvious. Second aunt can't open her eyes and tell lies, right? Wang Yu. Chu Xia almost hurt herself from holding back her laughter, but she liked Wang Yu's character very much. He was straightforward and free and easy. This kind of person was the best friend to make. With him, she gave him the following words: Grandma, eldest uncle, second aunt, I am not familiar with you, so I am restraining myself. If we have been together for a long time, you will know how worried I am. Third sister-in-law, I knew you were the best. Wang Yu took her arm affectionately. If third brother bullies third sister-in-law, I will definitely help third sister-in-law make amends. Can you help me? I'm not familiar with you at all. Who do you think you are? Aunt Wang couldn't help but continue to hit her daughter. I'm not familiar with him, but isn't my brother familiar with him? Besides. Wang Yu waved his fist. The less familiar you are, the easier it will be to deal with it without any burden. Aunt Wang looked at Chu Xia helplessly. Don't be familiar with her. She has such a silly character. When she meets someone with a bad temper, she will deliberately help others to stand up, regardless of whether it is reasonable or not. I like Wang Yu's character very much. Chu Xia smiled and emphasized again, I really like him. Third sister-in-law, let's go and whisper alone, so that they don't always want to sow discord, Wang Yu said while pulling Chu Xia to stand up. You kid, can you be more reliable? Aunt Wang grabbed her daughter and glared at her. Your third brother will be out soon, stop fooling around. Mom. You didn't misunderstand that I have any interest in the third brother, and you want to go to the third sister-in-law to tell me something, right? Wang Yu looked at her mother speechlessly. I am your daughter, am I really so shameless and shameless in your heart? Aunt Wang's eyes flickered and she said nothing. Obviously, she really thought that way. Wang Yu looked at Chu Xia. Third sister-in-law, do you think I am that kind of person? Chu Xia was in a dilemma. She didn't want to get involved in the conflict between mother and daughter. However, if she didn't say anything, it didn't seem possible, so she smiled and said, Auntie, I know you are doing this for my own good. Thank you, Wang Yu, thank you for being so honest with me when we first met. The eldest aunt frowned and looked at her daughter. Look at me, you know how to talk a lot, and then look at you, you look like a dumbass all day long. I'm confused. How are you worse than others? Why do you look like this? Chu Xia now understood that the person who looked down upon her marriage to Zhou Mikang the most was Aunt Wang. Or maybe she had always wanted her daughter to marry Zhou Mikang. But as far as she knew, the Wang family had never gone to the Zhou family to propose marriage, so there was no question of Zhou Mikang rejecting Wang Yu. If he was serious about it, why should he wait until the other party got married before worrying? In comparison, the daughter is much cuter than the mother. If you have liked her, you have liked her. If you don't want to fight, you don't want to fight. She doesn't feel inferior or pity her, nor is she sarcastic because of it. In an instant, Chu Xia had a bad impression of Aunt Wang. Mom, I really don't like your character. Why do you go through 10 twists and turns to criticize someone when you can clearly say it directly? Xiao Yu, what are you talking about? Aunt Wang glared at her daughter with an angry look on her face. Has anyone ever talked to their mother like this? Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize for my tone, but you must also admit that you are rejecting Chu Xia. I'm not stupid and I've sensed it a long time ago. Mom, the facts are here. It is very clear who is in charge of me and Chu Xia, so why did you pick me to make a fuss with her? Besides, even if it's just making noise, is it useful? She is already Zhou Mikang's wife. Is it possible that you still want your daughter to be a vixen and break up other people's marriages? Shut up. Are you my biological daughter? Have you ever stepped on your own mother under your feet like this? Did I mean that? Then tell me what you mean. You. Seeing that her uncle and sister-in-law's face was red with anger, Aunt Wang quickly advised Wang Yu, don't be angry with your mother. She just sees that you haven't met the right situation until now. Can't you talk to her properly? She can't let me do such shameless things if she's anxious, right? I could have been friends with my third sister-in-law, but if she makes such a fuss, how can I have the nerve to be friends with her? Wang Yu said and looked towards early summer. Sister-in-law, I'm sorry for making this difficult for you. It's a bit difficult to do. Chu Xia nodded, I'm really sorry to make you quarrel over me. It's the Chinese New Year. This child. Old Mrs. Wang smiled and looked at the eldest daughter-in-law, whoever gets married belongs to whom. Even if there was no early summer, Zhou Mikang would not have fallen in love with Wang Yu. Don't think about it and cause trouble for yourself. Mom, I didn't. Aunt Wang stammered for a while, then finally sighed and looked at Chu Xia, I'm sorry, I wasn't targeting you, or I was angry with my daughter when I saw her dangling in front of my eyes. I am a person in my 20s, and I have no formal appearance at all. When I meet someone I like, I don't even tell him about it. I have to wait until they get married before crying and wiping away regrets. I am a mother. When I see my daughter feeling sad, I will inevitably get angry and my words will become a bit unpleasant. Actually, I am not targeting you. What you said? Chu Xia smiled and shook her head, no matter what you did or what you said, it shows that you are blaming me for robbing your good son-in-law. What can I say? It happened that Zhou Mikang came out of the study at this time, and Chu Xia quickly waved to him, come here, I have something to do with you, come here quickly. What's the matter? Zhou Mikang came to the female relatives and looked at Chu Xia with a soft face, why don't you go to the study if you want to see me? Suppose. After a pause, Chu Xia said, I mean, suppose you didn't meet me, but met Wang Yu first, would you like her a little bit? What nonsense are you talking about? Zhou Mikang frowned and looked at Wang Yu, are you picking on her? No, Wang Yu waved her hands repeatedly, not knowing what to say. It's me. Aunt Wang took the initiative to admit, I'm not looking for trouble, but I just feel a little regretful for my daughter. I've met Wang Yu since I was 10 years old, but I didn't meet Lin Chuxia until I was 27. Zhou Mikang's answer was like telling Aunt Wang clearly, stop making trouble, I met your daughter first, and then my wife, okay. Can you stop being so self-righteous? Aunt Wang's face turned red. She had really forgotten about it. Second, Aunt Wang had no choice but to smooth things over again, Captain Zhou, don't be angry. Mothers are like this. When your children get older and haven't met the right one, they tend to get angry easily. In fact, she is not targeting anyone. I'm worried about my daughter. Being anxious has nothing to do with me, but treating my wife as unnecessary does have something to do with me. Joe Mikang looked at Aunt Wang indifferently. I might as well tell you clearly, if it weren't for Chu Xia, I would have chosen. I've always been single, got it? Come, follow me to the study. Joe Mikang forcibly led Chu Xia into the study. Lin Wenbin and Wang Ji were stunned when they saw the two people coming in. Your mother is bullying my wife over there. Joe Mikang looked at Wang Ji with a dissatisfied look on his face. Don't tell me you don't know what your mother is thinking. How did she bully you? Lin Wenbin stood up and looked at Chu Xia. Tell me, why did she bully you? There is no bullying. Don't listen to Joe Mikang's nonsense. He is just making a fuss. What are you talking about? Continue, I will listen, Chu Xia said as he moved a stool and sat down, with his back to the door. No matter who wanted to go out, he had to pass by her. Obviously, she didn't want Lin Wenbin to be impulsive. Tell the truth, Lin Wenbin said dissatisfied. Chu Xia, you don't need to endure for anyone, and you don't need to be wronged for anyone. No, it's just nonsense. Chu Xia was so angry that she pushed Joe Mikang. It's all you who talked nonsense and made me worry. I can guess what my mother said. She is worried about my sister. She is afraid that my sister will not find the one she likes. Wang Ji smiled helplessly for a while, then continued, the last time I saw my sister after meeting Joe Mikang, I really liked him, but after talking to me, I gave up the idea. She is a very upright and kind-hearted girl, and she will never do anything to destroy other people's families. Lin Wenbin, don't worry, if anything happens, you can ask me for it. Stop you, a kind and upright girl, how can you care about someone else's husband? No, she knew Joe Mixang was married, so she didn't worry about it anymore. Then why is your mother still worried? She. Sighing, Wang Ji looked at Lin Wenbin with an apologetic look. I'm sorry, it's my fault. I should have thought that my mother would do something wrong. She is actually a very understanding person. She met my sister. It's easy to get confused about things. In the beginning, it was quite clear that after your sister came back, something was getting worse and worse. Chu Xia spread her hands and looked at Joe Mikang. Don't you feel proud that so many people want to rob you? Ours. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 638. Sorry, I took a few days off. I have a lot of work matters piled up. I have almost dealt with them today. I will definitely update more tomorrow. Don't you feel proud that so many people want to rob you? Chu Xia's words once again made Lin Wenbin furious. He glared at Joe Mikang hatefully. You're so proud, you're a troublemaker. Wang Ji looked at Joe Mikang with gloating, his eyes full of narrow-mindedness. What are you looking at? Joe Mikang glared at him. If I don't even react at all, am I still my uncle? He didn't dare to be angry with his uncle, so he became the scapegoat. Wang Ji looked at Joe Mikang with a dark look, saying he was speechless. You're not a good guy either. You know clearly that your sister is thinking about someone else's husband, and you know that your mother is thinking about someone else's son-in-law, but you still pretend to be okay. He glared at Wang Ji bitterly. Lin Wenbin looked at Chu Xia. As long as I'm here, I won't be angry with anyone, remember. Brother, do you think I'm going to be angry? Chu Xia quickly grabbed his arm to comfort him. Don't be angry. If I don't even have the ability to deal with this kind of thing, then I won't be able to handle it at work in the future. Aren't you going to be bullied to death? Dong dong dong. Come in. The door opened and Wang Yu walked in, looking at Chu Xia apologetically. Third sister-in-law, I'm sorry, my mother is like that. She only cares about her own pleasure when she comes up and talks for a while. Actually, she got upset when she went out to pay New Year greetings in the morning. Seeing that I was so angry, she said something about it. I also made her angry at that time, so I talked nonsense. In fact, my mother is not that kind of person. Sister-in-law, please don't be angry with her. Turning to look at Joe Mikang, third brother, I also promise you that I have absolutely no thoughts about you that I shouldn't have. When I learned that you were getting married, I had no other thoughts at all. If what you told is a lie, that will prevent me from getting married in the future. The curse at the end was so harsh that it finally made Lin Wenbin's expression soften slightly. He was not unreasonable. As long as his sister was not really bullied, he would certainly not hold her back. As for today's incident, Joe Mikang can't be blamed. It's not his fault that Josei comes from a good family and is capable. As long as he stands firm, there is nothing to question. Taking him as an example, he often encounters this kind of thing, but he has always been single and has never been able to find his significant other. Thinking like this, his anger gradually subsided. However, as Chu Xia's first cousin, he naturally would not treat Wang Yu well and just sat there with a cold face and said nothing. After quietly sizing up Lin Wenbin, Wang Yu looked at Wang Ji with a smile. Brother, compared with brother Lin, you are really unqualified. If you can protect me like this, I will be extremely happy. Silly girl, if something like this happens to you, I will definitely protect you in the same way. Not only do I have to protect you, I also want to crush the woman who covets my brother-in-law. As soon as the words came out of his mouth, Wang Ji regretted it. Didn't he tell the other party clearly that he could give his sister a good beating and that the beating would be in vain? As expected, Lin Wenbin smiled at him sadly. I don't have the habit of hitting women, but I have something to say in front of you. If your sister does anything wrong to my sister, then you must beat her to pieces myself. Okay, I can promise you this. Wang Ji looked at him firmly. I can still vouch for my sister's character. It was my eldest aunt who brought this matter up because she was angry. Hey, you should also know that when relatives and friends get together during the Chinese New Year and holidays, the most likely thing to ask is whether the children have a partner and when they will get married. My sister is either too old or too young, so there is nothing to worry about, but my mother's friends and relatives of ours are the ones who are the same age as my sister, and those who are smaller than my sister. 2 years old, both are married, engaged. Every time she sat together and listened to others praising their son-in-law, she felt that they were trying to show off to her and that my sister had lost face. If my sister hadn't happened to come back today when Chu Xia was here, she probably wouldn't have mentioned this matter. Son-in-law, at most he thinks my sister is not up to par, and so far I haven't been able to find a son-in-law for her to show off to. I guess she is regretting it now. She is like this. After causing trouble, she will sit in her room and think about her fault, but next time, she will still make the same mistake. You said that we are all children, and we can only follow her temper. But don't worry, she is just talking about it, and she will definitely not mix it up. Okay, I've made you a lot of trouble with just one sentence. It's useless to say so much. Let's see how you perform in the future. Lin Wenbin breathed a long sigh of relief, calmed down his mood, and looked at Joe Mikang. You how to say? You've already said it, what else do I have to say? Joe Mikang couldn't help but snorted. How long have you known me, how many times have you dealt with me, and you still don't believe me? Do you really think I am your brother-in-law? I can trust my sister, but I can never completely trust you. Lin Wenbin patted him on the shoulder. Whenever you can do it without any trouble in this area to trouble my sister, I will absolutely trust you. Okay. Wang Ji sighed helplessly and looked at his sister. Xiao Yu, do you feel that your original decision was a very wise one? Yes. Wang Yu nodded. Fortunately, I am self-aware, otherwise, I might have been crushed to pieces. As he spoke, he patted his chest happily. However, I also have news to tell you, so I can make up for it. Huang Suyi and I are classmates, and we have a good relationship. She basically talks to me about everything, so I am generally aware of the Huang family and the Lin family's desire to get married this time. This matter is Huang Xinjun's idea, and Huang Sui does not agree with it? However, the head of the Huang family is Huang Xinjun now, and she must obey his orders, otherwise, she and her parents will be expelled from the Huang family. According to Huang Sui, Huang Sui herself didn't have much feelings about whether to stay in the Huang family, but her parents were very concerned about it. Her eldest brother was gone, and she was the only daughter they had. In order not to disappoint her parents, she should agree to this marriage. Mr. Huang, who had always doted on Huang Sui very much, did not pursue Huang Sui this time, so now, whether this marriage can happen or not depends entirely on the Lin family. Since she can tell you this, why doesn't she tell you about her brother's plot against your elder brother? Wang Ji frowned. Besides, what does she mean by telling you this? She didn't know what her brother did. After his accident, I came to her immediately, and she was also very angry. Unfortunately, she didn't have any status in the family, so she couldn't help us at all, or, in order to compensate, she told me about Huang Sui. Originally, I just listened to it as gossip and had no intention of stirring up trouble. But now that I owe you, I will treat it as repayment, okay? Huang Sui must be hoping that Huang Sui can marry into the Lin family, right? Chu Xia asked. Wang Yu nodded. Yes, she does hope that Huang Sui can marry into the Lin family. In her opinion, if Huang Sui is not happy, she will be happy. Although they are cousins, her feelings towards Huang Sui are almost the same as towards her enemies. Wang Ji glared at his sister with dissatisfaction. You should have less contact with people like this in the future. They are so narrow-minded. They may sell you one day and you are still stupidly helping her count the money. Brother, am I so stupid in your mind? Wang Yu shook his head helplessly and looked at Lin Wenbin. Brother Lin, if I tell you this, you should be able to stop being angry, right? Lin Wenbin nodded and said nothing. Chu Xia was trying hard to recall, but in the end she couldn't remember when the Huang family left the center of power. Anyway, she had the impression that there was a leader named Huang, but the names were different from what she heard now. I hope, the Huang family should stay away from the center of power earlier. Anyway, she hates that family very much. That Huang Sui always gave her a strange feeling. Although according to what Wang Yu said now, she felt that Huang Sui was a little pitiful, but she couldn't completely believe Wang Yu's words. In her opinion, Huang Sui was not the kind of character who could be manipulated by others. Even if it is for her parents, it is impossible to risk her lifelong happiness. Because Jingzhe had told her before that Huang Sui loved her eldest brother Huang Xinlong the most, and her relationship with her parents was average, and her relationship with Mr. Huang was about the same. Or maybe what Wang Yu said was just an act by the Huang family, and not her villainous intentions. Really, there are too many things that don't make sense. According to Wang Yu's description, Huang Sui is simply an extremely inconsistent person. People, stop thinking blindly. Wang Ji looked at Lin Wenbin. It's best to have a good talk with your brother when you go back, and don't always use force to solve things. You have experienced emotional trauma yourself, and you should understand that when a person likes another person, his personality will change greatly. The more you stop him, the more he may want to hug you. The beauty will return. It's better to have a good talk with the other party who is kind and peaceful. If it really doesn't make sense, just leave it alone and just say hello to the elders in the family. If they are willing to protect Chu Xia, that would be the best. If they are not willing to offend people for Chu Xia, then you have nothing to worry about. Just don't go to the Lin family in Chu Xia from now on. I don't believe that Huang Sui can go to the Zhou family to deal with Chu Xia, right? After thinking carefully for a while, Lin Wenbin walked out. If he doesn't listen, he's not my brother. Your cousin is so kind to you. Wang Yu couldn't help but repeat it again. How could Chu Xia have the heart to tell her this now? She smiled politely and quickly chased her out. Wait for my news, Joe Mikang said and hurried out. Rs. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 639. One update arrived. Lin Venhang had been in a depressed mood after the quarrel with Lin Wenbin. He didn't believe that Huang Sui would harm Chu Xia. How could such an arrogant genius do such a dirty thing? But he couldn't provide any evidence to persuade his eldest brother. He and his eldest brother had been noisy since childhood, but that was just a way of getting along between them, and their relationship was actually good. If he really broke up with his eldest brother from now on, he wouldn't be able to accept it. He couldn't accept asking him to give up his pursuit of Huang Sui. After a lot of effort, the other party's attitude softened. If he just quit like this, he would probably regret it for the rest of his life. The more he thought about it, the more grass grew in his heart. He felt terribly uncomfortable. He was reluctant to let go of his relatives, and he was also reluctant to let go of his lover. However, he could not find a way to get the best of both worlds. His younger brother Lin Wengxiu came in, looked him over, and sighed, "Brother, do you really like Huang Sui that much? Now I ask you to give up pursuing Xiaomin, are you willing?" After thinking about it, Lin Wengxiu said, "If my family's attitude towards me pursuing Xiaomin is like your attitude towards pursuing Huang Sui, I will give up." Really, Lin Wengxiu nodded seriously, "Relatives will always be relatives. I don't want to make my relatives feel cold because of a woman." Lin Venhang frowned, "You mean, what I am doing now is chilling my loved ones? Don't you think so?" After a pause, Lin Wengxiu continued, "You know that the Huang family has been targeting the Zhou family, and your persistence now shows that you don't care about the second uncle's family at all. Just because grandma doesn't express her opinion doesn't mean that she really agrees with what you are doing. She doesn't want to use her status to oppress you. Grandpa feels guilty for his second uncle's family, so naturally he doesn't want his second uncle's family to be harmed in any way. Grandma and parents support you because they watched you grow up and have deeper feelings for you than they did for Chu Xia, and they also regard the development of the Lin family as more important than the second uncle's family. I can't say who is right or wrong. I can only say that everyone has different perspectives and different stances, and the answers are naturally different. Whether the Lin family can be a whole in the future depends on your choice this time." Lin Venhang looked at his younger brother in surprise. "I always thought that he was still a naive big boy, but I didn't expect that he could analyze things so thoroughly." "Brother, why are you looking at me like that?" Lin Wengxiu glared at Lin Venhang dissatisfied. "You are a fan of the authorities. And you are looking at me with such incredible eyes. Don't look down on people too much, okay? I've really grown up." Lin Venhang looked at his younger brother with emotion. Full of relief. "You just found out," Lin Wengxiu rolled her eyes, "what have you been thinking about all day? Brother, even if no one in the family objected, you finally chased Huang Sui and married him back home. But have you ever thought about this? Is your genius really suitable to be a wife? Can she take good care of you? I want to marry a woman I love. If it's just to find someone to take care of me, what's the difference between that and a nanny? Wengxiu, you don't understand. When you meet the woman you really like, you will understand how I feel now." Lin Wengxiu shook her head, "It has nothing to do with age. It's because you are blinded by love now. You can't see anything else at all. Let me ask you, do you know what her character is? A little noble and a little arrogant, but she is very upright and kind. Her recent loosening of attitude towards me is not really because she wants to take advantage of me. She doesn't want her second brother to treat her parents badly. She also tell me frankly that she is not in love with me, she just wants to try to accept me. You believe it? Wengxiu, you don't understand her. Okay, brother, I won't talk to you anymore." Lin Wengxiu waved her hand, you can't listen to anyone's advice now. Also, you have been politely refusing to accept your suggestions for so many years, and suddenly you look so good. Why are you so confused and confused? Anyway, you can make up your own mind. If you really hurt Lin Chuxia, I estimate that the Zhou family will not let you go, and your grandparents and great-grandmother will feel guilty for the rest of their lives. As for the eldest brother's family, they may really have to separate from us. Brother, let me say it beforehand. If that day comes, you will definitely regret it. If you don't believe it, let's wait and see. Did Wenjia tell you this? Lin Wengzia frowned. Brother, are you suspecting that Big Brother asked Wenjia to tell me and then let me do your ideological work? If Big Brother knew that you thought of him like this, he would definitely be extremely disappointed in you. It's not like you don't know what kind of character your eldest brother is. He never hides anything when he talks to his family. He has told you everything he needs to say, so why would he ask us to help him? Wenjia and I watched you and your eldest brother making trouble, and we analyzed this matter in private. These were all analyzed by the two of us. However, he didn't ask me to tell you. It was you who was so confused that I couldn't stand it. I just told you. Lin Venhang remained silent. He knew what his brother said was true, but he couldn't make up his mind to let go. He was reluctant to let go. Or, would it be better if some things weren't guessed like this? I'm going out. Lin Venhang walked out. Where to? Let's have a frank talk with Huang Sui. Lin Wengziu. Well, he really didn't know what to say. Can he really come up with a reason for this kind of thing? After thinking about it, he turned around to find Lin Wenjia. I told my brother, but he didn't seem to listen. It's weird that you can listen. Lin Wenjia glared at him. If you can really listen, why have you persisted for so many years? Second brother is simply obsessed with that woman, do you understand? Even if that woman stabs him now, he will not bear her grudge. As for what we said, he will not listen to it. He only has one thought now: we don't understand Huang Sui and are wronging her, so she must be vindicated. Then what do you think we should do? Lin Wengzia looked at Lin Wenjia worriedly. Are we going to let him continue to be so stupid until one day the family is torn apart? I can't help it. Lin Wenjia sighed. My eldest brother is closer to Lin Chuxia than to me. If the second brother really persists like this, I am 100% sure that the eldest brother will never forgive him. Do you think the eldest brother has gone too far? No. Seeing Lin Wenjia looking at her unkindly, Lin Wengzia quickly explained, I'm not saying that the eldest brother shouldn't be nice to Lin Chuxia. What I mean is that you don't think he is nice. Is it too much? Even if they are brothers and sisters, it is impossible to do this. Look at Huang Xinjun and Huang Sui, aren't they examples? Everyone is different, and... Lin Wenjia sighed. Actually, I'm not angry or jealous when I see my eldest brother being so kind to Chu Xia. I have no impression of my sister, but my eldest brother has always been thinking about her. Now, he has put his feelings on Chu Xia and finally found sustenance. Only when a person has spiritual sustenance can he have the motivation and goal to fight. Therefore, seeing my elder brother's current state, I am very happy for him. Okay, just think about it. Lin Wengzia crossed his hands behind his head and stretched. My body is rusty from the Chinese New Year. Do you want to go out and play basketball for a while? I made an appointment with a classmate. You can go for a run by yourself, Lin Wenjia said, grabbing his coat and putting it on, then went to the mirror to tidy up his hair, and then polished his leather shoes. Meeting a female classmate, Lin Wengzia asked with a gossipy face. Yes, Lin Wenjia raised his eyebrows proudly. She took the initiative to ask me out. In fact, I have always liked her a little bit. When did you make the appointment? Why didn't I know? Lin Wengzia stepped forward and grabbed him. You are not allowed to leave until you explain. Before the holiday, we made an appointment to go to the People's Park to see winter plum blossoms on the afternoon of the third day of the first lunar month. Would you like to make an appointment with Xiaomin to go see them too? No, Lin Wengzia waved her hand, you can go alone. It's cold. I won't go to the park to be stupid. If you really want to go on a date, you should find a warm place. You are stupid and you still don't admit it? Will she give you her hand to warm you in a warm place? Lin Wengzia. How come he never realized that this brother was so crooked? Didn't you quarrel with Xiaomin? Lin Wengzia checked his appearance, walked up to Lin Wengzia and looked at him carefully, otherwise, you would have gone to her house by now. What are we arguing about? Lin Wengzia rolled her eyes, today is not the day for her sister to come home. I don't want to go up and make myself uncomfortable. That sister of hers is too troublesome. She will dislike me here for a while. I didn't wink, but for a moment I thought I didn't do a good job. I didn't want to marry her, so where did all the problems come from? You used to know that Sister Xiaohua was such a person, but every time she still ran over to get scolded, and she seemed to feel comfortable being scolded. What happened today? Don't say that you two didn't quarrel, I don't believe it. There is no second person in this world who understands you better than me. Just recruit them truthfully, maybe I can still help you. I really didn't have a quarrel, I just wasn't in the mood to go there. Lin Wengzia sighed, waving to Lin Wengzia, let's go, don't worry about it here, I have my own business. It's so unloyal. I told you everything, but you were so hesitant to hide it. Lin Wengzia glanced at his watch, turned around and walked out. It's time for me, you can feel sad by yourself. Who was hesitant to hide it? Lin Wengzia rolled her eyes, I just watched my family being so noisy during the new year, and I felt uncomfortable and too lazy to move. Unlike you, all of you are so big-hearted. Lin Wengzia, who had already walked out of the door, stepped back and looked at him funny, you are really the emperor who is not in a hurry and the eunuchs are in a hurry. Let nature take its course. What's the use of being so anxious? Lin Wengzia snorted coldly, that's not your brother. You're not in a hurry. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 640. Second update arrived. I'm too lazy to talk to you. Lin Wengzia smiled at Lin Wengzia and shook his head, you are simply stimulated by something. Forget it, I won't disturb you anymore. Just think about it yourself. The guy who cares about sex over his brother. Lin Wengzia stared blankly at the door for a long time. Until the sound of Lin Wengzia's footsteps disappeared, she muttered a few words and walked out with the basketball. Can't you just sit back and relax during the Chinese New Year? Second Aunt Lin, who was sitting in the hall with her uncle and sister-in-law, chatting with the two old ladies, frowned when she saw her son wearing thin clothes and holding a basketball. Xiaomin, go play, don't come out all covered in stinky sweat and smoke people. She has something to do today and doesn't have time to accompany me. Lin Wengzia greeted the elders and ran out quickly. Grandma, Mom, you said this guy is half a year younger than Wengzia, why is he so ignorant? Second Aunt Lin complained helplessly to Mrs. Lin and Mrs. Lin. Lin Zhiling smiled and said, second sister-in-law, don't pick on Wengzia. He and Xiaomin have played together since childhood. They are together every day. There must be some free time, right? Hey. Aunt Lin sighed and smiled bitterly, in the end, he and Xiaomin often had bad tempers. Girls have to be coaxed, so I was worried that they would agree to the Huang family's proposal. Why is there anything going on with the Huang family? Lin Zhiling looked at her in confusion, who in the Huang family asked to marry Xiaomin? Why didn't I know? Xiaomin's sister said it herself. Huang Xinliang has taken a liking to Xiaomin and plans to come to Xiao's house to propose marriage soon. Of course, she may also be deliberately irritating us before letting out the wind, but there is no smoke without fire. She can't make up such a thing. Bring it on. No wonder Wengzio is in a bad mood. He should also know about this, right? I must know it. Boys have strong self-esteem. If they don't want to say it, they will keep it in their hearts. But the colder this kind of thing is, the colder it will be. It's not that I don't know Xiaomin's sister's temper. Of course I can't let go of mine. Her son went to be ordered by her, but the two children had been together since childhood, were of the same age, had the same temperament, and knew each other well. If they really broke up, where would they find such a suitable person? Wengzio is too young to understand this. If I, a mother, had not thought of it for him in advance, make him regret it later. That is absolutely unqualified. Little sister, do you think so? That's the truth, but it's useless for you to force him now. He has to think about it on his own. There was a pause. Lin Zhiling patted her and said, I'll ask Huang Su later. He plays more with Huang Xinliang. You should be able to get some news. Huang Su is the son of Lin Zhiling and Huang Pingan. Speaking of Cao, Cao arrived. Not 5 minutes after Lin Zhiling finished speaking, Huang Su walked in. He had an important event to attend in the morning and could only come in the afternoon. After Huang Su greeted all the elders, Lin Zhiling immediately called him to her side. Xiao Su, come over here. Mom wants to ask you something. What's going on? Huang Su asked. He is 19 years old, over 1.8 meters tall, with a Chinese character face. He looks very much like his father, very masculine. Did Huang Xinliang have a crush on Xiaomin? Lin Zhiling asked straightforwardly. I don't know. Huang Su looked at his mother in confusion. Who did you hear this from? I met your Aunt Chiao the day before yesterday. She told me, let's do this. Mom will give you a task. In 3 days, you will be responsible for finding out whether Huang Xinliang is interested in Xiaomin. Can you do it? It doesn't take 3 days, just 1 day. I'll go do it tomorrow and I'll definitely give you an answer tonight. Huang Su snorted coldly. If he dares to steal my fourth brother's woman, let's see how I deal with him. Are you our son? Lin Zhiling looked at him speechlessly. Can you not speak so harshly? I'm telling the truth. He's bullied me to the point of being bullied. Why don't I scold him? Huang Su said and pointed upstairs. They are all up there, right? Before anyone could answer, Lin Wenbin strode in, followed by Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang. Grandma, haven't my parents gotten up yet? Chu Xia asked in confusion as soon as she walked in and didn't see Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe. Based on her understanding of her parents, they would definitely not be able to sleep well in a new place. How could it be possible that you haven't gotten up yet? Didn't your grandpa plant some vegetables? They were curious about whether vegetables could grow in winter, so your grandpa took them to see them. Old Mrs. Lin greeted her with a smile. Come here, sit down, and warm yourself up. See you. His eldest grandson walked upstairs with thumping steps and shook his head helplessly. This kid went out for a trip, why is he even more angry? Chu Xia smiled helplessly and didn't know how to answer. Zhou Mikang greeted all the elders and then went upstairs. Brother-in-law, Huang Su called tentatively. Glancing at him lightly, Zhou Mikang nodded, and Huang Su chased after him with a smile. Brother-in-law, I have admired you for a long time, and I finally met you today. Chu Xia has a black streak on her head. Why does this sound like a groupie's tone? What's wrong with Wenbin? Old Mrs. Lin looked at Chu Xia worriedly. Why did you get angry when you went to Wang's house? No. After some hesitation, Chu Xia told several elders the news she heard in the Wang family. If that's the case, I don't agree with Wen Hang's marriage to the Huang family. Originally, I thought that after chasing him for so many years, he finally saw some hope, so it would be hard to hit him hard. Now it seems that even if you hit him, you won't make him jump into the pit. The Huang family's attitude clearly shows that they want to expand themselves powerfully. If they really marry the in-laws, one day the Lin family may cease to exist and they will all become the support of the Huang family. No, when your grandpa comes back, I have to discuss with him carefully to discuss countermeasures. Even if I refuse this time, what about next time? You have to guard against this kind of people, Mom, don't you think so? Old Mrs. Lin sighed, you just have to decide what to do, I won't comment on it. Mom, are you angry with us? Second Aunt Lin looked at the old lady anxiously, were you always angry that we supported Wenhang in pursuing Huang Sui? I'm old, so I won't mix it up. Mrs. Lin waved her hand, and then waved to Chu Xia, my child, I'm sorry, my grandma didn't do well and made you feel wronged. No, no, Chu Xia hurriedly sat next to her and hugged her arm, you hope that everyone can recognize the facts and then solve the problem. You are trying to temper our younger generation. How can you say that I have been wronged? When Lin Wenbin came back, it was already 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He was in a good mood and found that the atmosphere was not right as soon as he walked in. All the elders and juniors in the family stared at him, which immediately made him feel uncomfortable. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 641. It's a hot day. I have a cold, fever and a runny nose. What's wrong with that? In public, it was impossible to sneak into the house quietly, so Lin Venhang had no choice but to step forward and say hello one by one. Sit down, let's have a meeting as a family. Seeing Lin Venhang trying to run upstairs after saying hello, Mrs. Lin stopped him. Lin Venhang's heart skipped a beat. Grandma usually didn't get involved in the younger generation's affairs, but once she got involved, it meant that the matter was settled. The Don has just appeared. Going to Wang's house, Mrs. Lin asked. Yes, Lin Venhang nodded, Huang Sui promised to give it a try with me. If it feels okay, we will get married next year. Why, has the wedding date even been set? If a few words were removed and it became has the wedding date been set, Lin Venhang would be very happy. Unfortunately, the tone of the rhetorical question and the addition of emphasis particles would mean the meaning is completely different. The silence made the atmosphere even more depressing. Not only Lin Venhang, but also Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan became uncomfortable. The contradiction in this matter was Chu Xia, and they really couldn't describe their feelings. Although he has been recognized back to the Lin family, although he knows that his biological parents are children of the Lin family, and although he knows that he is a relative of the Lin family living abroad, until now, Lin Baohe does not have a real sense that he is a member of the Lin family in Beijing. The feelings he cultivated during his last stay at the Lin family in Beijing had gradually faded as time went by. This time he was faced with such a scene again, and he felt that he was further away from this family. He was even looking forward to ending this trip to visit relatives as soon as possible, and never come here again except for holidays. If the Lin family was torn apart because of their family, he would feel guilty for the rest of his life. He wanted to speak out his thoughts, but because of his identity, he couldn't open his mouth. Unconsciously, he looked at his son-in-law for help, and suddenly realized that he had regarded his son-in-law as his backbone. Of course, Chu Xia noticed her father's expression and could understand the other person's mood, but at this time, their family, including Zhou Mikang, could not say anything, otherwise, they would be defying Mrs. Lin's authority. As for herself, she feels the same as Lin Baohe and his wife. Moreover, she didn't blame Lin Venhang at all. The woman she had loved for so long finally had hope. If she gave up immediately because of her, that would be impossible. In other words, if he can do that, it can only prove two things. One is that he does not really love Huang Sui, and the other is that he is a particularly ruthless person. Her son's struggle and pain made Aunt Lin very distressed. If Mr. Lin or Mrs. Lin had spoken, she would have jumped out and said a few words for her son. But now, it was Mrs. Lin who spoke, and she did not dare to say a word. After waiting for Lin Venhang's answer for a long time, Mrs. Lin became impatient and her voice became stern unconsciously. I can tell you clearly now that Huang Sui is willing to agree to you, but she doesn't really like you. What she wants is what everyone thinks. Is that so? You still want to insist on being with her? Grandma, she is not that kind of person. Knowing that he could no longer escape, Lin Venhang straightened up and looked at Grandma Lin firmly. She told me that Huang Xinjun indeed forced her to be with me. I want to use her to drive a wedge between us and the Zhou family, so as to provide more help to the Huang family. However, she didn't want to follow Huang Xinjun's wishes. She was willing to agree to me because she didn't want to disappoint her parents, and she didn't want to stay in the Huang family and be forced by Huang Xinjun. She said that if Huang Xinlong was still alive, she would definitely not give in. However, now that her parents only have one child left, she cannot really ignore them. Huang Xinjun now only wants to use the girls at home to strengthen the Huang family's reputation, but the Huang family's old man has a completely laissez-faire attitude towards this. Under such circumstances, it is impossible for her to reverse the situation. Then, it is better to be with someone who is not annoying. If the Huang family really goes too far in the future, she will choose to sever ties with the Huang family. She said that she will never involve the Lin family, nor will she target the Zhou family. For early summer. Did she tell you this personally? Mrs. Lin's tone became slightly more relaxed. Yes. Did you mention the Zhou family and Chu Xia? No. Do you think this is right? She is such a smart person. Seeing me rushing over to her on the third day of the Lunar New Year, of course she can think of the reason. Hey, Mrs. Lin sighed, you are completely trapped now. You probably won't listen to anything we say. Forget it, since you are so insistent, then you can invite her to your home another day. Let me talk to her in person, okay? Grandma. Lin Venhang looked worried. Grandma, you also know that I have been chasing her for so many years, and now, this step is something I never dreamed of. You treat her better. Grandma Lin frowned and looked at him without speaking, her expression full of dissatisfaction. Lin Venhang's head dropped. Grandma, it's not that I can't trust you, I'm worried that she will find a reason to go back on her word. If I can find a reason to go back on my word just because I said a few words to her, do you think she will really want to be with you? Mrs. Lin sighed heavily. Grandma, I'm not old enough to be confused, I can clearly see your thoughts about her, but if she has no thoughts about you at all and is only willing to be with you to avoid temporary difficulties, do you think you will really be happy? She said that she was afraid that Huang Xinjun would force her and her parents, so she was willing to be with you. So, if she was really with you, and she didn't help Huang Xinjun, wouldn't the other party target her parents? What to do then? Her parents are so eager to stay in the decision-making center of the Huang family. Do you think they can leave happily by then? If they really care about their daughter's happiness, they won't let Huang Sui make a compromise this time. Huang Sui can compromise for her parents now, but then she won't be able to ignore it. Think about what I said carefully and see if it makes sense. If you are determined to marry her, I won't stop you. However, the Lin family will not come to the wedding, and you can't live in the Lin family. Grandma. Lin Venhang looked at Grandma Lin anxiously. If this is the case, where will she put her face? Moreover, how could such a proud woman let herself marry me so unclearly? That's my opinion. We discussed this in the afternoon. It's up to you to choose what to do. After a pause, Mrs. Lin sighed, you might hate me if I do this, but, I can't let you destroy the entire Lin family. Your second uncle's family has already suffered a lot. If they suffer something they shouldn't suffer again because of you, I won't be able to see your great-grandfather, second grandpa, and second grandma until I die. In the Lin family, what the great-grandmother said is the imperial edict, and no one can change it. However, there should be an exception now, right? Lin Wenhang looked at Chu Xia for help. Before Chu Xia could speak, Lin Wenbin snorted coldly, "Don't look at her, this is your own business, resolve it yourself. I've said ugly things a long time ago. If you insist, I won't have you as my cousin in the future." "Brother." Lin Wenhang looked at him with a painful look on his face, "I like her. I have liked her for so many years. You know it?" She finally agreed. "How can you let me let go? I promise you, if she really did something wrong to our family, I will never spare her, even if it costs her life." "You believe me, okay." Wenhang, second Aunt Lin shouted anxiously, "Young lady, what nonsense are you kid talking about? Mom, just think that Wengzio is your only son." "I'm sorry." Lin Wenhang stood up and bowed deeply to all the elders. "I just ask you to give me a wedding. I will take care of everything else by myself," as he said, Plop knelt down and dong 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 kowtowed. His behavior made it difficult for anyone to blame him, including Lin Wenbin. Sighing, Chu Xia stepped forward to help him. "Second brother, you are a responsible man. I believe you will protect me. Get up and speak, okay?" Lin Wenhang nodded gratefully to Chu Xia, didn't get up, and looked at Lin Wenbin. "You can figure it out yourself," Lin Wenbin said. "Brother," Lin Wenhang knelt and took a few steps forward, "can't you just trust me once? I believe you, but I don't believe Huang Sui." After a slight pause, Lin Wenbin finally slowed down his tone, "You just need to remember that if the other party hurts Chu Xia, I will definitely make her repay 100-fold. Does this mean consent?" Lin Wenhang was ecstatic. As far as the Lin family's development plan is concerned, Lin Wenbin is the core of the family's future. As long as he speaks out, he will not be expelled from the Lin family. He absolutely does not want to give up family ties for love. Now this result is already excellent for him. He is not a blind person for love. If Huang Sui really marries with a purpose, give it to him and hurt his family, then he will definitely let her be punished. Afterwards, he will accompany her. In fact, speaking of it, their brothers are all devoted people in love, otherwise, the eldest brother would not have been single until now. Although the final result was still somewhat unsatisfactory, it finally brought peace to the big family for the time being, especially Uncle Lin and Aunt Lin, who looked at Lin Baohe's family with obviously closer eyes. Zhou Mikang remained silent during the process, but from his attitude towards Lin Wenbin, everyone could understand that he was telling everyone his decision through his actions. Ours. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 642. Colds, fevers, tonsillitis, oral ulcers, is there anyone worse than me? After dinner, Chu Xia accompanied Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe for a walk in the yard. Third Aunt Lin took the initiative to follow them out and kept thanking several people. Helpless, Zhao Yulan had no choice but to say, her third aunt, "Don't be so polite. We are all a family. Besides, there is no way to say who is right or wrong in this matter. It just happened to happen." Although this is the case, grandma and parents feel extremely guilty about the second brother and second sister-in-law and Chu Xia. Now that they have recognized the second brother and second sister-in-law, they hope to double the compensation. Now I know that there may be problems with the marriage with the Huang family, but the second brother and second sister-in-law and Chu Xia still generously forgive Wenhang. I am really grateful from the bottom of my heart. Without your attitude, grandma and parents would definitely not have agreed to the marriage between Wenhang and Huang Sui. To be honest, I don't agree with it now either. But the child is in trouble. What can I do? The child is older and has his own opinions. He can't help his parents at all. Hey. Her third aunt has already decided what to do. Don't worry anymore. Everyone comes from a young age. Wenhang is not confused. Don't worry. He is not confused about things that have nothing to do with Huang Sui, but now, he is more confused than anyone else. Third aunt Lin sighed, my daughter is still caring, my son, when he is older, he won't tell his parents anything. Neither of our two boys has spoken to us since they were 10 years old. Sometimes, in order to know what they are thinking, I can only resort to alienation tactics. But the problem is, the two of them have been together longer than I have been with them. After a long time, they knew my method and started to cover each other. I only found out about Wenhang's interest in Huang Su's love recently. I'm not afraid of your jokes. Before, I always thought Wenhang liked Xiao Miao. Xiao Miao is the daughter of a family that has a very good relationship with the Lin family. She met Chu Xia's family last time when they came here. She is a girl with a round face and loves to smile. If Chu Xia said it, she would find Xiao Miao more lovable. Pity. Men and women have different aesthetic tastes. Lin Wenhang basically didn't have a good look towards Xiao Miao, who was following Baba. I heard third aunt Lin murmuring that Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan were not easy to answer. They were not very obedient before Chu Xia. But now everyone's children are more sensible than anyone else. They are both elders who protect their children, so naturally they are not willing to put their daughter at the bottom. The problem is that the other party is complaining to them and asking them to agree that their daughter is better is not the case. However, the couple can only respond with laughter. After talking for a while, third aunt Lin also felt that she was so funny. He stopped walking. Second brother and second sister-in-law, Chu Xia, you go around. I'll go back and see if I can persuade that bastard Wenhang. Hey. It looks easy to talk, but in fact, he is as stubborn as a dead donkey. He can really make him so angry. Her third aunt, please talk to your children carefully. They don't want this kind of thing to happen, Zhao Yulan said and sighed, I understand the difficulties of being a parent. My brothers and sisters, don't make it too difficult for yourself. Yes, she responded repeatedly, and Aunt Lin returned to the room. It's not easy, hey. Seeing the other party's figure disappear, Zhao Yulan couldn't help but sigh, Xia, don't blame Wenhang, he should be feeling the most uncomfortable right now. Zhao Yulan was right, Lin Wenhang was indeed feeling the most uncomfortable right now. While he was accompanying his parents for a walk in early summer, Lin Wenbin, Zhou Mikang, Lin Wenjia, and Lin Wengziu all went to his room. Although they didn't say anything, it was clear from their looks that they were here to criticize him. The problem is, even if he really criticizes him a few words, he will feel better, but after a few people come in, he just sits there silently. Really unable to hold it in any longer, Lin Wenhang sighed, what do you mean? Please tell me clearly, okay. We are waiting for you to call Huang Sui. Lin Wenbin looked at him indifferently, since you said so firmly, now you and Huang Sui should not go behind our backs. As the saying goes, bystanders are wise, and now we are just bystanders. Your mind has been confused, and your judgment is not accurate at all. Now it is up to us to have the final say. Do you understand? Lin Wenhang was a black man. He made a phone call in front of so many people. His eldest brother could think of it, but he didn't believe it. If his eldest brother had a girlfriend, could he really call his girlfriend in front of everyone? He thought so in his heart, but he didn't dare to say it out loud. However, he hesitated not to dial out. He hoped that Lin Wenbin would give up on his own initiative. In other words, he hoped that even if Lin Wenbin didn't give up, Zhou Mikang would take the lead in giving up. As long as there is no Zhou Mixang in this room and he is only allowed to face Lin Wenbin, Lin Wenjia, and Lin Wengziu, he can still accept it reluctantly. It's a pity that his intention was so obvious, but Zhou Mikang sat there motionless, let alone the others. There was no other way, so Lin Wenhang had no choice but to call Huang Sui. Dial on speakerphone. Lin Wenbin said. Brother, isn't this appropriate? Lin Venhang protested. If you were asked to do this, would you feel comfortable? If I had made the same mistake as you, I would have consciously put the phone on speakerphone. You are now gaining our trust, not your mother-in-law's. Zhou Mikang looked at Lin Venhang indifferently. I know you want me to go out, but... After a pause, he continued, that's impossible. Lin Venhang had a black line. Who are these people? Are they bandits? Second brother, please cooperate obediently. Lin Wengzio stepped forward and patted him on the shoulder. You really don't understand enough right now. It is necessary for us to help you. Even his own brother said this. Lin Venhang really didn't know what to say. Unable to twist his thigh with his arm, Lin Venhang had no choice but to put the phone on speakerphone, dialed Wang's house number, and transferred it to the extension in Huang Sui's room. After hesitating, Lin Venhang asked, "Ai, have you eaten?" "I ate already, how about you?" "I've eaten too. There's something I want to discuss with you." "Okay, tell me." "Can you come to our house tomorrow? My grandma wants to see you." "I will pick you up then, okay." There was a brief silence on the other end of the phone. "Okay, I'll go." Lin Venhang was obviously relieved. "Love, thank you." "Thank you for what?" "Thank you for agreeing to me." "I thought you would reject it," Lin Venhang said truthfully. "What's there to exclude? Isn't it right to go and pay New Year's greetings to the elders during the Chinese New Year?" Huang Sui chuckled. "Did you get a denouncement meeting when you went home today?" "No." "No." Taking a quick glance at the crowd, Lin Venhang stammered, "Really, no. We have known each other for a long time." "As long as you stutter, you are definitely lying. And I know that you are not the only one sitting next to the phone now, right?" Lin Venhang was silent and didn't know how to answer, so Huang Sui continued, "I don't blame you. I can understand your mood, your actions, and your family's worries. But I also know that nothing I say now is of any use. Time is the medicine that tests everything. You believe me, one day they will accept me." "Yes." Lin Venhang nodded in a muffled voice. "Ai, you are the best girl. It is my greatest blessing to marry you." "It's too early for you to say this. I'm just trying to date you for a while. Whether we can really be together depends on how we get along." "Lin Venhang, I promise you, it's not that I want to make do, but after thinking about it, I didn't think of a more suitable person than you. If I keep waiting like this, I might miss you. Therefore, I decided to accept you and try my best to seize my own happiness. I know the pressure you have endured for me, so thank you." Lin Venhang, "thank you for your trust in me. To everyone else sitting here, I also thank you for the pressure you put on Lin Venhang. He can still persevere under such circumstances. I can only appreciate him more. As for when you believe me, that's your business. I just need to do what I want to do and have a clear conscience." Lin Wenbin and Zhou Mikang looked at each other with helpless expressions on their faces. Regardless of whether what Huang Sui said was true or false, what she said now would indeed make people regard her as a straightforward and lovely girl. After confirming what time they would meet the next day, Lin Venhang hung up the phone and looked at the people with a proud face. "Now, do you believe what I said? Believe it or not, just wait and see." Lin Wenbin stood up and walked out. When something goes wrong, there must be a monster. She is such an arrogant person, and she suddenly has such an attitude. Do you think it is normal? Brother, are you too difficult to get rid of? Lin Venhang looked at Lin Wenbin, who had walked to the door speechlessly. You said that I look at Huang Sui with personal feelings, but why don't you wear colored glasses? To see her? If you don't do it well, you will say, look, I was right. She is approaching you with a purpose. If you do it well, you will say, look, let's pretend to be the same. Over time, you will definitely see the truth of. Brother, if you were willing to treat Huang Sui 1/10 the way you treated Chu Xia, the problem you would see would definitely not be like this. I'm too lazy to tell you anything. Lin Wenbin waved his hand and quickly walked out of the door. Zhou Mixang glanced at Lin Venhang briefly and stood up. Captain Zhou, Lin Venhang called out to him urgently, you and Huang Sui are colleagues, do you really not trust her at all? How do you expect me to believe that? Zhou Mikang sighed and smiled at him. Chu Xia said she doesn't blame you, so I don't blame you either, but otherwise, don't force me, okay? If you think the website is good, share it more. Thank you readers for your support. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 643. Captain Zhou, Lin Venhang grabbed Zhou Mikang anxiously, it doesn't matter if others don't believe me, you should believe me. Why? Zhou Mikang looked at him speechlessly, what you said really put me under a lot of pressure. Can I ask you not to put so much pressure on me? No, what I mean is that you and Huang Sui have not been working together for a day, so you should know her personality. She simply has a personality that treats things rather than people. Moreover, she has a very direct personality. If she was really interested in you, she would have made it clear to you long ago. How could she resort to such unflattering tactics? She is a genius, so she won't bother to play those unsavory tricks like ordinary people. Captain Zhou, as long as you are willing to say a word, the family will definitely treat her with a normal attitude. I have finally waited for this day. You have experienced emotional setbacks before, and you know how difficult it is to find a suitable person. Now let me ask you for help, okay? Lin Venhang, I used to think you were quite a man. Zhou Mikang held back a glance at his hand on her arm and said, let go. You promised me to let go immediately. Lin Venhang looked at him pitifully, I have already promised that if she dares to do anything wrong to Chu Xia, I will definitely be the first to deal with her. Why are you still unwilling? Help me? I can give up the woman I love most for my cousin. Can you give me a little help for my love? If you believe in your own judgment, why do you beg me like this? Zhou Mikang pulled his hand away, your attitude really makes me look down on you. It's so embarrassing for a man. I see, if the other party, if you really do something wrong to Chu Xia, you are probably the first person to help her deal with Chu Xia. You have wronged me by doing this. Do you want me to swear? Lin Venhang really raised his hand as he spoke, but Zhou Mikang knocked it down, okay. Don't just say useless things. It's because you don't believe me. I can't help it. Although I have confidence, Huang Sui is a very arrogant girl. If she feels rejected by our family, she will definitely not be with me. This is tantamount to basically pronouncing the death sentence on my relationship with her. There is nothing I can do to persuade my eldest brother. He is a die-hard man and has been doing so since he was a child. This has always been his attitude towards me. I want him to follow my wishes. Might as well kill him. I have no choice but to beg you. In comparison, you are the closest to Chu Xia. You are also the one with the highest status among all your peers. What you say has a certain degree of direction and authority. As long as you express your approval, everyone will definitely agree with it. I just want to give myself a chance, not to force you to do something you don't want to do. Brother-in-law, for the sake of what I have endured for so many years, please give me a hand, okay? Not good. Zhou Mixang looked at him calmly. Seeing his face fall, he added, however, I can tell you clearly that even if I don't like her, I won't show it in front of others. Thank you, brother-in-law. Lin Venhang looked at Zhou Mixang with a surprised look on his face, the gratitude in his eyes clearly visible. That's enough, that's what I want, that's enough. When he was excited, He spoke a little incoherently. This man is really in trouble. Looking at him like this, Jo Mikang really doesn't know what to say. Of course, this is also the fundamental reason why he is willing to help him. He is also a man, and he can understand the feeling of not being able to love, especially since he is a dedicated man. If Huang Sui's feelings for Lin Venhang are really purposeful, then this man will probably be together for many years. In a state of depression. And his depression was different from him. He didn't really love Yamira back then, but because of his sister. However, the feeling should be similar, right? After more than 5 years, he finally came out after meeting Lin Chuxia. I hope this man doesn't have to go through all that. Only those who have experienced it can understand how unbearable the pain is. Second brother, please. As soon as Jo Mikang left the room, he was pulled over by Chu Xia, who was waiting at the corner. What did you say? Have you promised him? Do you want me to agree, or do you not want me to agree? Jo Mikang asked. You guess. Answer my question first. Why? Chu Xia rolled her eyes at him. I'm young, so you have to let me go. I'm a girl, so you have to let me go. So, the conclusion is, you have to answer. It's unreasonable. Jo Mikang scratched her nose angrily and amusingly. You're just being so naughty on purpose to bully me into favoring you, aren't you? Chu Xia couldn't help but shuddered. Please don't use the word naughty on me in the future. When I heard you describe me like this, I immediately felt bad. You are a child and you are naughty. Otherwise, you would have answered my question first. Come on, I dug a hole and waited for her here. Do you think she will really give in? No, if you want to say I'm naughty, just be naughty. Answer. Jo Mikang looked helpless. I really can't do anything to you. Okay, I'll tell you, I promised him. Agreed. Chu Xia looked at him carefully. Please tell me what you were thinking at that time. Can we go back to the room and report again? Jo Mikang nodded his chin downstairs. There are a lot of people here, we are chatting here, do you really think it's okay? I'm still not sleeping at this hour. Chu Xia muttered in a low voice, said hello to the elders downstairs, and pulled Jo Mikang back to her room like a rabbit. You are more curious than a cat. After entering the room, Jo Mikang shook his head. You said you pulled me in so eagerly, what will people think? I hate it, you did it on purpose. Chu Xia grabbed him angrily. Don't talk nonsense, I want to hear your true thoughts now. Also, I declare that if you lie, you will be blacklisted in the future and I will never believe you again. What should I say? Think about it before you speak. Seeing her like this, Jo Mikang simply sat upright and looked at her with a smile. Tell me the truth, are you particularly worried about me and Huang Sui working together? Originally, I was embarrassed to ask because of my face, but now that I finally got the chance, I just wanted to ask clearly once and for all, right? Just say it, anyway, I just want to know what you think. Chu Xia winked at him. Although I can't say I'm jealous, but when I think of you every day with a girl who once wanted to marry you, we are still working with two geniuses, and I will definitely not be too comfortable. However, I can understand that it is a normal thing for work. I can't stop you from working just to prevent others from having thoughts about you, right? Moreover, the same principle applies to me. I can't worry about others being interested in me, so you won't let me go to work and lock me at home, right? You guys, do you have to include so many meanings in one sentence? Haven't I already promised you that I will support you if you want to work, but only if you let me stay by your side? Lin Wenbin also has a job with me. I promised you, but you still say this to me. Do you think this is fair to me? Hey, girls, can you stop being so fickle in your thoughts? What are you pretending to be? Chu Xia rolled her eyes at him. Don't evade the question, tell me what you really think. Don't think that changing the topic will make me forget the original intention of asking. My real thought is that seeing Lin Venhang's current appearance reminds me of the days when Xiaorao left. I can understand his mood, so I am willing to agree to him and give him a chance. But if Huang Sui's feelings for him are not true, wouldn't he be hurt even more seriously? Zhou Mikang, you have been with Huang Sui for a long time, and you have a general understanding of her as a person. Do you think she is right for ER? How genuine are my feelings? I don't ask this for gossip or to pry into other people's secrets. I really think the second brother is a good person and don't want him to get hurt too seriously. If you know clearly that getting along with you will result in getting hurt, then why do you have to let him get deeper and deeper? Chu Xia, you are forcing yourself to ask me this. Although Huang Sui and I work together, we don't get along alone. We only meet during meetings and when we are studying the charter. And because of some remaining issues from the past, I deliberately didn't meet with her outside of working hours, so of course I don't know what she thinks. However, based on her usual analysis, I don't think she has much affection for Lin Venhang. There are probably not many people like her who think too highly of themselves and can catch her eye. Furthermore, as you said, it is inappropriate to let Lin Venhang get into trouble even though he knows it is hurt. This is right, but the problem is, Lin Venhang won't listen to what we say now. If he had understood this truth, he would not have antagonized the family and made it so noisy as it is now, don't you think? Including the great-grandmother who was willing to agree to him, they were all moved by his infatuation and wanted to give him a chance to try it. If he doesn't try, he will always have expectations. Even if he is hurt after he really tries, he will still have a chance to come out in this life. Do you think this is true? After thinking about it for a while, Chu Xia sighed helplessly. Okay, I must admit, what you said seems to make sense, but I also discovered that you seem to be particularly good at persuading others. I originally thought you were quite reasonable. But after you said this, I unconsciously leaned towards your opinion. No, I have to think about it carefully and not let you fool me. Zhou Mikang. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 644. Johan also saw Su Yicheng and was also a little surprised. I was here today to discuss cooperation with a client, and then the client sent me away. I thought it was still a little early, so I came to the bar here for a drink before going back. Looking at the side face that looked very similar to Yeziwen, he tentatively called out, but he didn't expect that Su Yicheng was there. Yeziwen on the side seemed to hear someone calling him, and then he reacted slowly. He looked up at Su Yicheng's expression, turned around and saw Johan standing a few steps away. Johan, do you want to have a drink? Come and join us. After saying this, he suddenly realized that he spoke too quickly and subconsciously turned his head to look at Su Yicheng's reaction. Johan knew that Su Yicheng didn't want to see him. In fact, no one would want to see the person who betrayed him again, so he just wanted to say, Let's go together, Su Yicheng said calmly. His tone was calm and his face was calm with no emotion at all. After speaking, he turned his head away. Johan couldn't react, so he stood looking at him blankly. Yeziwen was stunned for a moment, but he immediately reacted, smiled at Johan and said, Johan, come here and let's have a drink. After that, he got up and went to pull him over. I directly asked the waiter for another cup, then poured him a drink and asked, how are you doing with Xiao Ben recently? I haven't seen that little guy for a while. Very good. Johan took the wine and touched it with him. Yeziwen wanted to say something else, but suddenly the cell phone in his pocket rang at this time. When he took it out, he was a little surprised to find that it was Su Yijiao's call. He was overjoyed and hurriedly answered the call. Hello, Xiao Xiao. Hearing this, Su Yicheng frowned slightly and turned to look at him. I don't know what was said on the other side of the phone, but Yeziwen frowned slightly and said in a cold voice, where is she? Okay, I'll be there right away. After that, he hung up the phone and said to Su Yicheng and Johan, "I have something to do temporarily, so I'll leave first." "Did something happen to Yi Xiao?" Su Yicheng asked with a frown. After all, she was his sister, so he was still worried. "Xiao Jiao was drunk at the bar," he said as he took the suit jacket on the side. "I'll go with you," Su Yicheng said. "No, I'll just go." Ye Ziwen refused, and stood up and walked out, leaving Su Yicheng and Johan sitting at the bar. The atmosphere seemed a little awkward. Johan was the first to speak and asked, "Why don't you come over and take a look?" Su Yicheng went back to the past. He shook his head with a slight smile. "I trust Ziwen." "Hello, the pasta you ordered at this time." The waiter brought the pasta he ordered. "Thank you." Su Yicheng took the chopsticks and began to enjoy his dinner. Seemingly trying to find a topic, Johan said without a word, "I haven't eaten yet." Yes, Su Yicheng nodded and said nothing more. Then there was endless silence. Su Yicheng was concentrating on his dinner, while Johan was concentrating on drinking his wine. The two sat side by side, but there was no topic of conversation at all. Johan was drinking, with the corners of his mouth slightly curled up in a self-deprecating way. After finishing the bowl of noodles, Su Yicheng asked the waiter to put away the dishes, then turned to look at him and said calmly, "I saw that you also submitted bids for the renovation project of the old district." Just invest. In fact, he didn't dare to have much hope for this. After all, it had only been less than half a year since the company moved back to China. Although he thought that the bidding document and design were perfect, he also knew that compared with those so-called leading companies in terms of strength, I have no advantage at all. Hearing this, Su Yicheng just said calmly, "Since I don't have the confidence to successfully complete this project, why did I invest in it in the first place? We are absolutely confident about the project, but we don't have hope about winning the bid." Johan corrected him. Su Yicheng didn't say anything, but took a sip from the water on the bar. Looking at him, Johan said calmly, "Is everything okay with your wife?" "I'm sorry about what happened last time." Su Yicheng naturally knew that he was referring to Enran's fall before, so he nodded, "It's pretty good." Johan nodded and said nothing. Holding the wine glass, he looked at the brownish-yellow liquid in the quilt, shook the glass gently, then raised his head and drank all the wine in the glass. He knew that they would never be able to sit together and drink and chat like before, and even if he wanted to, he would feel uncomfortable. When he stood up and was about to leave, Su Yicheng beside him spoke at this moment. "You actually chose to give up so many things to be with her, so why did you choose to separate when you wanted to leave?" Su Yicheng looked at him steadily, not wanting to say anything, but still asked. Johan paused and looked at him intently, his hands hanging on both sides clenched tightly subconsciously. She closed her eyes in pain, then opened them after a while, and said with a wry smile, "She will betray you, and of course she will betray me after that." He didn't say anything more, just paid the bill and left. Su Yicheng looked at his back until he disappeared at the door of the bar, and then came back to his senses. The bidding results for the first project in the Science and Technology City came out. Jingcheng Construction did not win the bid. As for the Old City reconstruction project, Hanhai Real Estate finally won the bid. This result surprised many people, but it also surprised this person. Little-known small and medium-sized companies quickly became familiar. Enron was greatly surprised by this result and did not understand why they would abandon more powerful companies and choose such a small company. However, the question was still unsolved. Enran did not ask Su Yicheng one more word. She always adhered to her duty and did not ask a single word that she should not ask or say. That day, Enran was sitting at the bar, studying the recipes carefully, preparing to cook a sumptuous dinner that night, when Lin Li's call came in at this time. When she picked up the phone, she heard Lin Li's somewhat excited voice coming from the other end of the phone, "Anzi, I found a job." Lin Li has been looking for a job these days. In fact, when she was with Cheng Xiang, She had no interest in work. It's just a playful mentality. Anyway, she won't be hungry if she finds Cheng Xiang, so her attitude towards work has never been serious. But it won't work this time. She really has to work hard, both for herself and for Father Lin and Mother Lin. Although Dad Lin's operation was successful, he still needs a lot of medicine for a period of time. The cost of the medicine alone will cost a lot of money. The Lin family could only be considered well off at first, but this time Dad Lin's illness has cost almost all the money in the family. As the only daughter in the family, Lin Li naturally has to take on all the responsibilities. And Ran once told Lin Li that she had some savings on hand after working for so long. Although it was not much, it could solve Lin Li's current predicament. If Lin Li was willing, she could lend her the money first, but Lin Li refused. Lin Li has changed a lot since she separated from Cheng Xiang, becoming independent and strong, but her persistence made Ran feel particularly sorry for her and reluctant to let go. Really, what do you do? What company? Ran put down the recipe in her hand and was happy that she had found a job. It's a real estate company, or house sales. I'll start working tomorrow, Lin Li said. I've never done anything else before. I still have some experience in this, although I haven't sold a few houses, Lin Li said. Rei chuckled, with a hint of playfulness in her tone. It's okay, just pretend you don't know how to do it and start learning again. Ran comforted her, imitating her previous tone, and said, our old Buddha is so smart, why is it difficult to sell a house? Buying a house will not be a problem when the time comes. Lin Li laughed loudly and said, haha, I like to hear what Xiao Anzi said to me. Come on, please give me some flattery to make the AI family happy. If you say it well, the AI family will be rewarded heavily. Lafayette, you are naturally beautiful and smart. You are loved by everyone and you drive around with your flowers, and Ran felt that the compliment was a bit contrary to his will. Yeah, that's good. Keep going. The IGA likes to hear it. Lin Li was very helpful, as if she was completely immersed in it. You are as beautiful as a fairy, your grace is outstanding, you are crowned with beauty, your manners are endless, your beauty is unrivaled. And Ran used all the sentences and idioms he could think of for her. Lin Li nodded with satisfaction and said, yeah, very good, what else? And Ran vomited blood and said angrily, I opened the dyeing room just to give you some color. If you don't feel ashamed, I'll feel sorry for you, but you're still going on. Xiao Anzi, you are rebelling against you. Do you believe that the AI family is looking for someone to drag you out now? Lin Li was completely in the state, someone, drag this bold slave out to fight in her 30s, let's see if she dares to speak rudely in the future. Haha. And Ran held the phone and smiled, as if the Lin Li from before was back, so happy and joyful. Lin Li also laughed. The two of them seemed to have really returned to the original feeling, without any worries. Jingle bell. Just when Ran was holding her cell phone and smiling with Lin Li, the doorbell rang at this moment. Ran turned her head and looked at the door. She remembered that Qin Yun said last night that she would bring chicken soup to her to replenish her health today. She hurriedly said to her cell phone, Lin Li, I won't tell you for now. Maybe my mother-in-law is here. Okay, by the way, let's go out for dinner another day, I'll treat you, Lin Li said before hanging up the phone. Well, that's it for now. Ran smiled and hung up the phone. Ding-a-ling. Seemingly as no one opened the door, the person outside the door rang the doorbell again. Come on, and Ran got up and got off the high chair, responded and walked quickly towards the door. Without looking at the peephole, he consciously thought it was Qin Yun coming over. Without thinking much, he opened the door. However, when he opened the door, he was stunned when he saw the person standing outside the door. Outside the door, Ling Ran was wearing a long bohemian dress with suspenders, her long curly hair shawl down, sunglasses that were enough to cover half of her face, a canvas bag in her hand, and she was looking at it with a smile. With An Ran. An Ran didn't expect that it was Ling Ran who came instead of Qin Yun. She was stunned for a while, then slowly came back to her senses and looked at her and said calmly, "Why is it you?" Reaching out to take off the sunglasses from her face, Ling Ran said with half-curved lips, "Won't you invite me in to sit down?" An Ran didn't move away, looked at her and just said, "I don't think there is anything interesting to talk to Miss Ling." After saying that, she wanted to close the door and go in. She didn't know what Ling Ran wanted to do, but she could instinctively treat this woman. "I feel disgusted, especially knowing that she deliberately asked Xiaobin to push her last time. I feel disgusted with her behavior. She is also a mother, but how could she treat her child like this?" Reaching out to block An Ran's door from closing, Ling Ran said with a half-smile, "Is this how Vice Mayor Su's family treats guests?" Hospitality. An Ran chuckled, looked at her, and said bluntly, "I don't think Miss Ling is a guest." Ling Ran looked at her steadily, the smile on the corner of his mouth was a little cold, and the color he looked at her was also a bit piercing. Ignoring her cold eyes and sneer, looking at her hand, An Ran frowned displeased and said seriously, "If Miss Ling insists on not letting go, I don't mind calling the security guard to ask you to leave." Haha. Ling Ran took her hand back, looked at her with a smile and said, "Mrs. Su, why are you so serious? What can I, a weak woman, do to you? Besides, I heard that Mrs. Su is pregnant now. But don't get angry, lest you hurt the child, that's not good." "Thank you for reminding me," An Ran replied calmly, with a cold expression on his face, and prepared to close the door again. "You don't want to know why I came today," Ling Ran said the moment she closed the door. "If I said that I came today for a Cheng's future, would you still block me from the door like this?" Outside. The door was closed at the same time as she finished speaking. Ling Ran was not angry, and still had a smile on her face. She patted the door gently with her sunglasses in her hand, as if she was sure that An Ran would open the door again after a while. Sure enough, An Ran didn't keep her waiting for long. The door was reopened less than a minute after closing. An Ran looked at her steadily, looked at her for a while, and then asked, "What did you mean by what you just said?" Ling Ran smiled, looked at him and said, "I don't like being blocked at the door and talking. This feeling is really uncomfortable." An Ran said nothing and finally turned sideways to let her in. He turned around and entered the house, but did not close the door. Ling Ran looked around at the decoration of the entire house, and finally sat down on the sofa. She said with a half-smile, "The house is quite beautiful, but I remember that Cheng didn't like this style." An Ran sat down opposite her and smiled lightly, "People change, not to mention the fact that you haven't seen each other for so many years. Besides, Yi Cheng loves me. Even if he really doesn't like me, he will accommodate me." Ling Ran pulled her lips, but there was no smile on her face. She snorted and said, "I didn't come here today to admire your house. I didn't let you in to visit my house." An Ran said, "So please make it clear to Miss Ling what you meant by what you just said." Hearing this, Ling Ran curled her lips proudly and said, "If I said that I could help a Cheng's future career, would you believe it?" An Ran looked at her steadily, "I believe it, but I don't think Yi Cheng will be able to get out without your help, and I think you should also know that Yi Cheng doesn't disdain such means at all. He has the strength, does not need to rely on your relationships." After spending so much time together, she didn't dare to say how much she knew about Su Yi Cheng, but regarding some of Su Yi Cheng's behavior, she absolutely believed that Su Yi Cheng was not the kind of person who would like to see nepotism rise to power. He had his own, he is proud, and with his ability, he can go very far even without those external factors. For example, he is now at this position at such a young age. This is the best affirmation and proof of his ability. I have known a Cheng longer than you, and I naturally know him much better than you do. You don't need to tell me all this. No one knows better than me what kind of person he is." Ling Ran gave her a somewhat unflattering look. took out the cigarettes and lighter from the bag, smoked a cigarette directly, put it in his mouth, and then lit it with the lighter with a pop sound. "Please put it out," and Ran frowned in displeasure. She refused to smoke second-hand smoke, especially when she was still pregnant with her baby. Ling Ran glanced at her, pretending to be sorry, and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, look at me, I forgot that there was a pregnant woman sitting in front of me." She said this, but she didn't seem to have any intention of putting out the cigarette. Frowned in distress and said, "But what should I do? I'm addicted to cigarettes. If I don't smoke, I feel very uncomfortable, so I can only tolerate it for a while." He took another deep puff. And the smoke ring that was spit out was specifically directed in the direction of Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand didn't speak, just frowned, and covered her nose with her hand. Knocking the cigarette ashes directly onto the smooth floor, Ling Ran continued, "Maybe I didn't speak clearly just now. What I meant by official career was whether a Cheng can continue on this road in the future, or will he be investigated by the relevant departments for some reasons, and what problems will be found out." And Rand suddenly turned his head to look at her, his eyes widened slightly and asked, "What do you mean? Was she trying to frame Su Yi Cheng on purpose?" "Ha ha." Ling Rand smiled and said, "I said it so clearly, why can't you still hear it? That's really stupid. Do you think I will believe you? Don't think that because your father is the mayor of Zhongcheng, your family can do whatever you want. Zhongcheng was not run by your family. Besides, if Yuchen has never done anything, he can act and sit upright. I'm not afraid of what you will investigate." And Rand said this, but for no reason. She felt a little panicked in her heart. Even she herself couldn't explain what she felt and why she was like this. "Ha ha." Ling Ran smiled and shook her head. "Gu An Ran, am I saying that you are too innocent, or that you are too single and stupid? What do you think the battle in the officialdom is? Are you naive enough to say that you didn't do anything yourself? Nothing will happen. It's really funny. Let me tell you, if someone really wants to bring you down, it's not up to you to decide whether they do it or not." After saying that, he put the gun in his hand again. He put the cigarette in his mouth, took a deep breath, looked at her mockingly, shook his head and said, "You are not qualified to stand next to Cheng. You don't even understand the most basic rules of survival in officialdom. If you can't even detect the hidden dangers around you, you will cause a lot of trouble for Cheng." And Ran subconsciously held her hands tightly and asked him, "What do you want to do? Are you planning to frame Yi Cheng?" The panic and fear in her heart gradually expanded. She didn't know what she was afraid of, but she was just afraid. Very scared. "Don't say it so harshly. It depends on whether you give her a chance or not." She didn't want to do this, but they didn't give her a chance. She was also betting, and she joined everyone in the bet, and she won. She has everything, and if she loses, she will be doomed, so she must win this time. And Rand shook his head and held his hands tightly on both sides. "No, Yi Cheng will not give you this chance. I believe him. He has never done it before, so we are not afraid." Humpling Rand snorted coldly, put out the cigarette in her hand and put it into the fruit plate on the low table, and said, "In addition to telling you this today, I also hope to make a deal with you. If you are willing, abort the child in your belly and divorce Cheng. I can help him, but if you don't want to, don't blame me for not missing the old relationship. It's all up to you. How about this deal? Either agree or not." "Impossible," and Ran refused. How could she agree to abort the child in her belly? It was her baby, the child of her and Su Yi Cheng. Even if it cost her life, there was no way she would agree. Not wanting this child, he looked at her and said with some excitement, "I won't believe your nonsense. Besides, I don't think Yi Cheng is a soft persimmon that you can handle." Ha ha. Ling Ran smiled. She was not surprised at all by her reaction. She reached out and brushed the long black curly hair, took the bag on the sofa, turned around and stood up in a coquettish way, with half a smile at the corner of her mouth. He looked at her with a smile and said, "It doesn't matter if you don't agree now. I'll wait. I'll wait for you to come to me crying and begging for permission." And Ran also stood up, looked back at her steadily, and said decisively, "It's better if you die, and nothing like that will ever happen." "Ha, then I'll wait and see." Ling Ran looked at her and said with a sneer, straightening her skirt again, "I've said everything I want to say. It's up to you to think carefully about what to do next. If you really love Chang, I think you will know what to do." After saying that, he glanced at and Ran intentionally or unintentionally, then turned around and left the room with a smile. Ling Ran was in a good mood and stood at the elevator door waiting for the elevator with a chuckle, humming a little tune. The elevator opened in response, and Qin Yun came out of the elevator carrying a thermos bottle. She looked at Ling Ran, who was a little surprised that she appeared here. "Ling Ran." "Mother Su," Ling Ran called with a slight smile, "long time no see." "Why are you here?" Qin Yun looked at her puzzled. "I came to talk to An Ran about something." Ling Ran smiled, raised her hand to look at her watch, and said a little apologetically, "I'm sorry, I'm in a hurry, so I'll leave first." After entering the elevator, something suddenly occurred to her. Turned around and said with a smile, "Mother Su, let's drink tea together when we have time." Qin Yun had no time to pay attention to her, so she turned around and walked towards Su Yicheng's apartment. The door was not closed. As soon as she reached the door, she could smell the smell of cigarette smoke in the room. And Ran seemed to be sitting on the sofa in a daze.